So you get 30 or 40 million views a month, which is a significant platform. It's nearly nearly twice Australia's population, and you're running some rallies starting next year.
Not rallies, I would just say speaking events, and possibly debating as well, like live on stage with people. I think that's one of the main things we need to get across here as well is openly debate, because debate's been shut down.
Being comfortable with conflict.
Yeah, that's it. Because you either get called a climate denier, racist, bigot, white supremacist, whatever they want to call you. We have to get comfortable with debating people, openly debating people as well, live. It's not this orchestrated stuff behind the scenes. So I want to do stuff during the day, potentially like Charlie Kirk would, go debate uni students, set up something like that, and then run speaking events at night. Potentially get some ex-military mates involved as well that could, speak about their behalf of adversity they've overcome and stuff like that. So I've got a few things in the works, but again, this is all dictated off, every week changes for me, right? Every week there's something new, there's something that comes up, but that's the sort of plan and goals next year we want to target. I don't know if I want to build something out of it or whatever, like a
political party.
Yeah, so something like that. But
if you were to align yourself with one party or politician, who would it be number one?
Jared Rennick.
Yep.
We've had him on the show.
Twice, he was here.
We're about to drop the second pod. I think you enjoyed.
Fantastic mind. I think that he can get us out of our economic struggles and debt, and I think that's where 95% of our issues come from.
He's got the plan.
And
he's got a great plan.
He's very, very simple as well. Like if he disagrees with something, he doesn't need to have the cultural battle. He'll just pull funding from. Do you know what I mean? Like if there's areas which he thinks that culturally they don't fit in Australia, just pull funding. But the problem is that Labor are very, very good, and the Greens are fighting those cultural battles. So he needs people to fight him back for him.
So you'd have him at your speeches? Obviously?
Yeah, I would. Yeah. He's been on my podcast before.
Oh, gotcha.
He's because I always sat there and I thought, man, printing money is terrible. But he will tell you from a very economic mind strategy. And the printing money isn't bad, but if you build infrastructure that makes you that money, then you can make
infrastructure that you own.
Infrastructure.
Yeah, exactly, that you own.
That's his big thing, right?
Yeah, one of the biggest mistakes we made in COVID is what do we print, like $3 or $4 billion, sold that off as government bonds, and we just handed the people for sitting at home. If we bought our infrastructure back from that, we wouldn't have any issues.
Jerry Harvey won.
Yeah.
I feel like, there's something inside of me that is like, imagine if politicians had a prerequisite that they had to be in the military, that they had to actually go on the battlefield and fight for their own countries and then come out. How much that would change the perspective of mindset. And like I look at you and that's all I see, the way you talk, what I've been researching you, and it is just like I can see that soldier still. You know what I mean? Like in your discipline, like running 1,000 kilometers over 24 days, 50 kilometers a day, like that is highly, highly disciplined. You're not just doing that just to do it,
It potentially isn't all positive though. Like if you look at the US and some of the neocon influence of the US over the years, like you could argue that that's what's created the debt problem. All the wars that the US. Now, I'm not arguing whether morally we should have been in those wars or we shouldn't have.
We definitely shouldn't have been there. That was my stance. So.
Well, there you go. And you were there, so you probably have more of a voice on that than me. But that's what's caused the majority of the debt that's running around in the world at the moment is these wars from the US, right?
And you look at immigration, like why are people from the Middle East flooding to all Western countries? Because we've been bombing the shit out of them for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So
that's the scariest part of all this for me is mathematically we're fucking up against it with our birth rates versus theirs.
Well, where are we importing from the moment heavily? The Middle East has 3.5 birth rate, and parts of Africa, Sudan, 3.5 birth rate. That's where we're dragging most of our people from. India as well, they have a high birth rate. That's where we're dragging all our people from. We're not dragging them from the old school Italian background, Italy, these people that...
Because their birth rates are fucked too.
Yeah, their birth rates are schooled. So everyone's pulling from parts of the world now where their birth rate is
and as you said,
sustainable.
Some of those parts that we've bombed the shit out of for 20 years. So imagine the mindset when they're coming here.
Exactly, right.
So integration.
Yeah, and then, we have a government that heavily backs Israel, and everyone in the Middle East hates Israel, and then the government that backs Israel. And, if you go into deeper sort of stuff with, 9/11, I don't really want to talk about that sort of stuff, but like going into Iraq, Benjamin Netanyahu lobbied on behalf of the Israeli government, told America that they were weapons of mass destruction and they need to tape out Saddam Hussein. When you took out Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi, just destabilized the whole area. ISIS rose up, all these other places rose up, and then, how many lives were lost because of that weapons of mass destruction thing? How many American soldiers died because of that? And then, you think back in World War One, the trench warfare of, just openly getting people up and making them run into the German lines and getting slaughtered. Like, have we changed from that? Just sending a whole bunch of young Americans over there so Dick Cheney could give out a whole bunch of no-bid oil contracts to Halliburton in the oil fields in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's the one thing that pisses me off the most about all this is look, I went over and fought for my country and that, but, and I don't want to get into it too much. The more you dive into it, the more you just think, we haven't changed from the old slogan of just war is old men talking, young men dying.
Mm-hmm.
So true. You've interviewed a fair few political identities as of late, and you just mentioned one, right? Jared Rennick, Malcolm Roberts, who's on the opposite side, obviously, with One Nation. You've had Bob Catter. Recently
had Hasty on as well.
Yeah. What's the common consensus between all of them? Is there a common consensus? Are they saying the same things? Or what are you seeing when you're talking to guys?
Yeah, they all tend to agree with the same sort of stuff, right? I mean, like, Hasty was a little bit different because he's sort of got to align a bit more with the liberal conservative sort of movement. But if you get someone like Bob Catter in or Gerard Rennick, they can be a lot more open and free-flowing as to sort of what's happening in the country. And Malcolm Roberts as well, he was pretty good. You could have a pretty base conversation with him. But the consensus is generally most the same. But, you mentioned debt to someone like Hasty or someone like Bob Catter or someone like Malcolm Roberts. And they're saying behind the scenes where they're like, yeah, but, that's okay.
They don't understand it like
Jared. They don't. And then you get someone like Jared and you talk about debt and he runs rings around.
Because he's got that accounting background, right?
So,
and he's a markets guy.
Yeah.
He made his money in markets.
Yeah. And from what I think is that most of our issues come from being in records amounts of debt. But a lot of these people come in and are like, oh yeah, we need to fix this crisis and this crisis. It's like, no, aim up here because everything will flow down. So if you aim up at the debt crisis and you fix that, everything else is going to flow down to it, right? And you'll be able to fix most of the country if you fix that.
We asked a question to Jared Rennick 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. It's like, okay, great. All of these minor parties all have the similar sort of consensus. It's like, why don't you band together and get the job done? Because right now there's no major. You only got two major parties. If you
this angers me a lot.
Stop fucking with your egos.
And what was the response?
And Jared said, "I'd be involved in it, but who's going to lead that?" And
they got to pick up the phone.
The consensus was, and I'm not sure if we mentioned it on air, and I'm not saying that this is what Jared said, but the consensus in the room was at the end of that conversation, because one thing I loved about him is how open he was to partner with anyone. Clive, Pauline, didn't matter. He said he's approached One Nation to partner because the independents are eating one another and they're not moving forward where they should. And the consensus in the room between all of us was that most of these minor parties perhaps have self-interest higher than the interest of the country. And with Jared, it was, I'll partner with whoever we need to move it forward.
Again, it's I think it's mostly ego-driven. I don't think it's mostly... Look, I love Gerard Rennick as well, but even he, punches right a fair bit sometimes on his X account. I'll look at it, I'll be like, Gerard, come on, just punch left for a little bit. Like, I think the right sometimes implodes and destroys itself. But I think it's ego-driven, mate. I think there's personality clashes between potentially Gerard Rennick and Pauline Hanson. And then there might be personality clashes between Clive Palmer and Pauline Hanson. It's just, like, to me, and this is what infuriates me the most, I feel like grabbing these people and getting their heads and smashing them together in a very non-violent way.
Non-literal.
Yeah. And but just saying to them, like, the state of the country is here and you guys are worrying about if you get along with someone behind closed doors. Shut the up and start and form a movement and fix this party. Drag a few of the conservatives away from the Liberal Party and actually form something that can go up against these two-party systems that have been screwing us.
Like I said, collectively they could have some major change. Right now they're all running around with their own agendas, and that does fuck all for everyone.
It pisses me off.
Didn't Pauline Hanson just get Barnaby Joyce?
Yeah, she did. He's just now. So that's the first upset, and the Libs are fucking spewing about it.
But this is the thing, right? Like, I spent in a room, a tenth the size of this. I lived with 8 blokes for 6 months. You don't think we had dust ups and punch ons every second or third week?
Mhm.
You're living on top of each other in a very, very small environment and a high tense environment where if you make a bad move, it could cost you big time. And we would blue all the time with each other. But when we went outside that wire, we would die for each other. Things with these politicians, right? They get so pissed off at each other. I can't work with you. Shut up. Put your bullshit aside and put the country first for once.
Yeah.
Coming from a background, I find that so easy to do, but they just find it so hard because their egos have been pumped up too high.